Welcome to Real Love, Real Stories TV and podcast. This is Kanu and I'm the host. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the place to be to hear love stories. In today's episode, I am going to be talking about 10 obvious signs it's time to move on from your relationship. And I do want to say, I am talking about a relationship where you're dating. Now, if you're married, that means that at some point you felt, strongly enough that you married this person. And I hope that you can take time to seek counseling from, a counselor, from, if you're a church person, from somebody from church, a respected elder. Talk to your family. I think there are multiple things that you can do to see if you can salvage your relationship before you just get out of it. So I'm talking about if you are dating and, I want you to be asking yourself these questions that I will share with you, about 10 of them. So, knowing that relationships can be exceedingly complex and it can be difficult to know when to move on with our lives. And relationships have the ability to make everything in life seem wonderful. They also have the ability to make everything seem pretty miserable too. So it's not always obvious when the time has come to start a different chapter in our lives. It's so easy to be stuck in a state of ambivalence. And some aspects of a relationship might be great, but some aspects may not be going well. So maybe things are good enough to continue, but maybe this relationship is holding you back. What do you do? Well, I have come up with 10 questions to ask you. And depending on how you answer these questions, you can make your own decision whether to stay in it or to move on. So here are the 10, starting with number 1. So is your relationship bringing you joy or is it bringing you pain? So if your relationship is leaving you frustrated, upset, unhappy more times than not, I think it's time to rethink it. Number 2, is your partner expecting you to change? And I'm talking about getting into a relationship with someone that you're saying, I'm going to change him to be this person. I'm going to change him to meet this criteria that I had in my head for a partner. So ask yourself that. I think there are good times, though, that you can try to help your partner change. An example would be if your partner is a smoker and you know that smoking is making them unhealthy and you want to help them change that behavior. Help them quit smoking, help them eat better. Those instances, those are good. But when you're trying to, sort of change your partner in the way that they are, you shouldn't expect them to change you, and you shouldn't change them, because love should be unconditional. You should love this person the way that you met them. And of course, there's few things like I talked about smoking as an example. Okay, so number 3, are you justifying your partner's actions to others and maybe even to yourself? Justification of an action usually means you are uncomfortable with that action. So take a moment to ask yourself, if you're doing that more often than not, then why are you doing that? That means you're uncomfortable with what they do. And that means that you're not happy in this relationship. So take time to ask yourself, are you justifying their actions more times than not? And, even worse when you're doing that to yourself. An example would be you're dating this person and maybe you were invited to dinner and the guy cancels last minute because he doesn't want to be a part of it. And you go to this dinner and you're like, oh, he's sick, or he didn't mean to, or, whatever reasons you come up with, which may not be the actual reasons as to what's going on. And you do this more and more and more. He didn't call me because, he left his phone or his phone died. Like, you make up these stories, you justify their actions. I think it's time for you to ask yourself, is this relationship good for me? Is this person really respecting me, in this relationship or not? So, which leads me to the next one, which number 4, is there mutual respect in this relationship? Like you really have to ask yourself that. I've heard and talked to so many people who are in a relationship where their partner does not respect them or they don't respect their partner. I mean, why are you in a relationship like that anyway? Like you should be in a relationship with someone who respects you and you respect them. And then number 5, are you good at forgiving each other? Where there's no forgiveness, there's always resentment. Like, how long does it take you to forgive your partner? Do you go days without talking to them? Or maybe you talk to them and you're still mad at them. Are you guys openly having a discussion, a conversation about whatever it is that you are mad about? Like you should have open lines of communication and be able to forgive and not hold on to whatever it is that they did and you always bring it up every so often. Like you should be able to forgive them and move on, because like I said, where there's no forgiveness, there's resentment. So number 6. So number 6 is, do you have shared goals? Can you develop some goals that you can both agree upon? Because if you don't have shared goals, somebody's going to be unhappy. You're going to feel like you're drifting apart. I mean, an example for me, when I was married, we didn't have very many shared goals. So it ended up that, he was going one way and I was going on another. And then, of course, that led to divorce. So make sure that you have some shared goals. Okay, next one is, do you genuinely like your partner? I mean, this sounds silly, but are you proud to be with them? Because I know some people, again, I've talked to many people when it comes to love stories, and some people just are not in like of their partner or in love with their partner. And so, are you genuinely in like of your partner? Do you genuinely like them? And are you proud to be with them? There's some people who, even holiday parties at work, they never bring their significant other because they're, embarrassed by them, or, they just go home and do the things at home and never are seen out and about with their partner because they are so embarrassed by them. So, do you genuinely like your partner? And are you proud to be seen with them in the public? Are you proud to be seen with them, to bring them to a holiday party at work? So ask yourself that. The next question is your partner hurting you emotionally, physically, or verbally? Any of this, if you answered yes, any form of abuse is a no-no, in my opinion. You cannot be hurt emotionally. You cannot be hurt physically. You cannot be hurt verbally. I don't care which one. Somebody that loves you and respects you would never hurt you, with any of this. So really ask yourself, am I in this relationship? Am I happy? Is this person emotionally abusing me? Is this person physically abusing me or verbally abusing me? Some people justify that verbal abuse is okay because they didn't physically hurt you. But I'm telling you, if you're still in the dating phase, run. Get out of that relationship. You will find somebody who will love you, who will not hurt you, who will respect you, who will cherish you, and all those beautiful things. So if your partner is hurting you emotionally, physically, verbally, or any other kind of way, run the other way. It is not a good relationship to be in. Number 9. Is there something or a situation that keeps coming up over and over, even though you have addressed it? So, sometimes something happens in a relationship where, okay, let's say, cheating, for example. I mean, that's a little bit of an extreme example, but if your partner cheats and then, you talk about it, they're like, oh yeah, I'm never going to do that again. But then they keep doing it over and over and over again. Like, get out. For myself, you cheat first time, done. And if you're in a relationship where maybe you're a little more forgiving than I am, and you talk about that he or she cheated on you, and then they keep doing it over and over again. I mean, come on, get out of it. After all, the definition of, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So it is not going to change. Get out of that relationship and you will find somebody who will not cheat on you, who will love you. Number 10. So is your partner putting little to no effort into this relationship? Or maybe are you putting little to no effort into the relationship? Then ask yourself, why is it that you are doing that and why is it that they are doing that? I think that's a clue that it's time for you to think about moving on. And and sometimes even, I don't know, some people feel like it's good to go see a counselor to talk about things. If that's what works for you, do it. At least you can say, I left no stone unturned. And then if those things keep happening, then you can address them then and go, I've tried everything and I need to move on from this relationship. Many of these questions are relevant to friendships, to even relationships at work. So take some time and examine all your relationships. And as you and the other people in your life evolve, some of your relationships might not make sense now. So notice that there isn't a question about how or even whether or not you can find someone else. Once you have extracted yourself from your current situation, you will rediscover the skills and attitudes needed to start a new relationship. So diagnosing your relationship objectively can provide the information you require to make a smart decision. So give it some thought and take care of yourself. Thank you so much for listening, and all the way to the end. I am genuinely so grateful. So now you can continue to show your support in a few different ways. The first one is, if you can think of someone who might benefit from this episode, please send it to them. And the second thing is, we all are on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and the like. So please share this episode. And I love it when people tag me to their post. And 3, head over to iTunes. You can leave a review and you can rate this episode. All your feedback is very helpful and it helps this podcast get visible so others can listen to all these great stories. Thank you so much. Till next time.